if I'm going to fit through here or not. Maybe. Hey there, Tucker. Yeah, we're putting the old Teryx to work today. I didn't realize it, but I was looking at the hitch on this, and it says maximum tongue weight 88 pounds. Oops. Severely overloaded, but I was only going like 500 or 600 feet, so, and I was taking it really slow, so it shouldn't be a big deal. But I'll tell you what, man, that 800 V-twin in the Teryx, it has so much bottom end power. It'll pull just about anything. I mean, it's very impressive. Hey everybody, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about the Kawasaki Teryx 4. I've had this machine for about a year now, and I've gotten the opportunity to use it for play and for work. So I'm going to talk a little bit about this machine today and tell you what I think about it. And if you're shopping for something like this, hopefully this will help you out a little bit. So let's get right to it. I guess I should start with talking about how my experience has been with this machine over the last year, and there's really not much to talk about. Nothing has broken, nothing has stopped working. I've had no problems with it at all. It's kind of what you expect from Kawasaki, just great quality. Everything works every time you get in it. So again, there's just not really a whole lot to report other than just to say that it's been a great machine. It has done everything that my family has needed it to do and everything that I wanted it to do. And it's really, really a great machine. So I guess that's out of the way now. So let's do this. Let's talk about the cons, the things I don't necessarily like so much. And then we'll finish with the pros so we can finish on a high note. How about that? So first of all, the tires. These are 26-inch tires. Now, 26-inch tires belong on an ATV. I mean, come on, Kawasaki. That's what ATVs are shipping with these days, is 26-inch tires. Something this big should have at least a 27 on it. It'd be nice to see 28s, but at least a 27-inch tire. You got to give us something that's bigger than an ATV tire. Come on. Because this is longer than an ATV. It's wider than an ATV. And so when you put these little tires on here, what happens is your breakover angle starts to suffer, okay? And so I have found that this machine does like to drag its belly over obstacles that other machines that I see on the trail just don't. So that's kind of a bummer. It needs taller tires on it. Something else is, let me try to explain this. So Kawasaki came out with the Mule many, many years ago, right? They kind of, in my mind, started the work UTV segment. And then as time went on, people realized that, hey, these things could be really fun recreationally. So, you know, Kawasaki and Polaris and some other companies started to build side-by-sides that are a little bit more geared toward play, right? So if you look at what's out there today, you've got dedicated work machines like the Kawasaki Mule, and you've got dedicated full-blown play machines from all the companies. This machine, the Teryx, I think kind of falls in the middle. And maybe you could even say that it is skewed a little bit toward the work category as well. And the reason I say that is because I've been on Kawasaki Mules and Polaris Rangers and, you know, machines that are obviously built to get work done. And to me, when I drive this machine, it feels a lot like those machines. Yeah, it's a little bit sportier, but it still kind of feels like it's got some of that work machine heritage to it. It's geared really low. It has a really low top speed. It doesn't have nimble, precise steering. It doesn't have a ton of suspension travel. You know, when you ride this machine, you really kind of feel like you're on something that's just one step above a work machine, okay? And I kind of don't like that. I wish it was skewed a little bit more toward the absolute middle between those two categories. And when I saw this machine sitting there at the dealership, that's sort of what it looks like. It looks like a machine that would be a cross between work and play, but I just feel like it's a little bit too close to the work end of the spectrum. So that's kind of a negative, at least in my mind. I'm not real crazy about that. Something else that I haven't really been fond of is the size of this cargo box. This cargo box, first of all, it doesn't dump, which for some people is not a big deal. But the main problem I have with it is it's not quite deep enough. You know, we've got a couple of coolers that won't even fit in here, just standard size coolers like you would get at Walmart or whatever, and they won't physically fit in here. So while it is nice to have a little bit of a cargo bed back here so that you can haul some things, I feel like they should have added just a little bit more to it. I mean, just 6 more inches. It wouldn't have killed the overall size of the machine, and just 6 more inches would have given you enough room back here that you could put what you really want to put back here, which is, you know, larger coolers, more camping gear, more recovery gear, whatever, you know. It's just a little bit too small in my opinion, and I don't like the way that the rear is designed. It doesn't really have a tailgate. It's just a fixed box, basically. So while I'm glad that it's there, I think this could use some improvements back here as well. So I already talked about the steering. It's kind of sloppy. It's not precise. It's not nimble. You're not going to go out and just rip around on something like this, you know. So again, it's just one of those things where if you're looking for certain aspects in a machine, you're not going to find it here. And we'll get to more of that in just a minute. But you know, you kind of have to know what you're buying before you buy it. And if you're going to look for a machine that's fast and that has long travel suspension and you can go out and rip through the dunes and, you know, blast around, you know, lots of power, if that's what you're looking for, you're going to be disappointed with this machine, okay? That's just how it is. So that's pretty much all the negative stuff that I had to say about it, though, is, you know, and a lot of what I just said kind of comes from the fact that it's an old machine. I mean, let's face it, this Teryx series of machines has been on the market for like 15 years now. It's starting to get old. So a lot of that is just carryover from the fact that when this machine came out, it was ahead of everything else in the game. You know, it was like top of the line. Everybody was raving about it. It really was all the beans back then, you know, but it's just, you get 15 years in the future and now it's starting to show its age. You know what I mean? So you can't really knock the Teryx for that, but it's just something you need to be aware of if you're buying a machine and you're looking at these. So now let's talk about the things I do like. So I don't like how tall the tires are, or I guess I should say how short they are. But the actual tire itself that they put on here is great. These are the Maxxis Bighorn 2.0s, and I've had no trouble with them. Now, over the last several years, I've reviewed a lot of brand new ATVs, and we have replaced and patched and plugged tons of tires. It seems like it doesn't matter which manufacturer it is. They ship ATVs with the cheapest, flimsiest tires they can get away with, and they're just garbage. On this machine, that hasn't been the case. These things are fantastic. No flats, no plugs, no patches, no problems. They just do what they're supposed to do. They grip really well. It's a good tire. I just wish it was a little taller, but I will probably run these Maxxis Bighorns forever, just in a larger size, because they are that good. So I really like that. You know, I talked about the packaging. You know, the size of this machine is an advantage. Because if you look at the other 4-seater ATVs, or excuse me, UTVs, out at the dealerships, you go and you look at some of the stuff that Can-Am is building, some of the stuff Polaris is building. I mean, those things are as long as a school bus. They're huge. And so they have like no breakover angle at all. And they're cumbersome in the woods, hard to turn around, hard to maneuver. It's even a difficulty to figure out how you're going to haul it, because you have to have a substantial trailer to haul that if you're also going to take other ATVs with you in the same group, same family, camping gear, whatever. If you've got a whole bunch of stuff to haul and you've got a 20-foot long UTV to stick in there somewhere, that's kind of a pain. This machine doesn't have that problem. They have figured out the packaging on this pretty daggone well, because you can put 4 full-size adults in here. The seats are super comfortable. They're high back seats. They've got tons of padding, and you do still have a little bit, excuse me, of a cargo box back here. Like I said, I even wish it was a little bit longer. It wouldn't kill the overall size of the machine if they would have made it just a little bit longer. But you do have a cargo box, and you've got room in here, even in the back, for a full-size adult. Now, granted, it's not a limousine, but that's kind of the point. I've got enough room back here, and I've got a grab bar, tons of headroom, that I could sit back here and ride through the woods pretty much all day if I wanted to. You know, so if you're a husband and wife, for example, and you've got 1 or 2 kids and you would like for your whole family to be able to go ride together, you could use this machine to do that. And even as your kids get older and become teenagers, they're going to fit back here just fine. And you've got this bar, like I said, you've got a bar here. You know, the substantial structure around your kids back here is going to keep them safe. You do have seat belts, obviously. You've got cup holders back here. So it is a nice machine for a family to use, and it's not so big that it's cumbersome out in the woods. And so that is a major advantage to the Teryx, in my opinion. Now, it does have power steering. It has a front locking differential. The rear does not unlock like some of your work machines do. You can unlock the rear so that you don't tear up the grass. You can't do that on this. So if you're planning on using this for work around your house, keep that in mind. With the bighorn tires and the fully locked rear end all the time, it's going to tear up some grass. But if you're out in the woods, it's no big deal. And, you know, like I said, you've got a front locker and some good traction, so you can pretty much go anywhere you want to go in this machine. I've never been stuck in it yet. It seems to be like a little billy goat. It'll go anywhere. So advantage there too. I really like the quality. Again, I've had no problems with it. These come with a 3-year warranty. Try to find that from another brand. And I think Kawasaki does that because they know they're building a quality machine and they know it's not going to give people trouble. So it's really a lot of peace of mind when you buy a brand new UTV and you get 3 years of coverage. You know, you can pay the machine off in full, or at least get really close to paying it off in full while you're under warranty. And that's pretty awesome. So major advantage Kawasaki there. Again, I don't have anything really to report as far as problems because it's been fantastic. Now, when I got the machine, I put the factory roof on it. And this summer, at the request of the wife, I added a windshield. This is just a one-piece design. It doesn't flip up or anything. But she just wanted something on here to keep some of the dust and dirt off of us when we're going down the trail. And, you know, I think I mentioned this last year when I got the machine. I did add a winch to the front, but that's all that I've done to it. The winch, windshield, roof, that's it. Otherwise, it's totally stock. Now, one thing I will mention, this is a base model. You can get an LE model, which comes with the roof, and it also comes with aluminum wheels. To me, it wasn't worth spending the extra money on that because I didn't really care about aluminum wheels on something that's going to get beat up in the woods anyway. I think that's kind of a waste. And I knew I could buy this roof for $200 or less. So I just went with a base model and then added the roof myself. They do also have, though, an S model. And the S model is pretty cool because it does give you a little bit more, I can't talk today, suspension travel. There we go. I think it's about 2 inches more suspension travel. And the width is a 1.5 inches wider. So again, minor increments there. But you do get a little bit more suspension travel and adjustability and a slightly wider track width. And a lot of people like that S model for that reason, because it rides a little bit better. I've got the compression turned down on the shocks. You know, all the way around this thing, you can turn the dials and kind of, you know, tune it the way you want it to. I've got them turned all the way down because I just like a soft ride. And I feel like this thing, even with them turned all the way down, it's still a little bit firm for my liking. So I kind of wonder how well the S model would ride compared to this. 2 inches of additional travel is not a whole lot, but it might be enough to make a difference in, you know, in the ride quality. I don't know. So if you can afford it and you're gonna buy one of these, try to get the S model. Having said that, this base model has been great for us because we don't go real fast through the woods anyway, you know. This thing has a top speed of about 50 miles an hour. And if you're in the woods, it doesn't matter because you're not going to be going 50 miles an hour anyway. But, you know, sometimes the trail opens up, or sometimes you're trying to get across a large ranch, or sometimes you might be out in the desert riding or something, somewhere where you do want to go faster. So just keep that in mind. Again, this is not a fast machine. They've got it to where it will only go about 50. It's geared really low. It's good for work, like you saw in that first clip, but it's not so good for blasting around, and, you know, it's not super nimble. It's not the sportiest thing out there. And that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier when I said I feel like this is sort of geared more toward the work end of the spectrum, even though it's not really a work machine. I mean, it's a 4-seater with a small bed on it. So obviously it's not a work machine. It just kind of feels that way. But, you know, who do I think this machine would be ideally suited for? Again, to go back to the earlier point, I think this is a great machine for a family who has some kids or maybe some teenagers, and you want something where you can just go out together and you can camp, you can ride trails at low to moderate speed, you know, get muddy or climb around in the woods, have a good time riding out in the sand or whatever the case might be, and then you're going back to the campsite at night to make some dinner and hang out together, you know, just spending some family time together. This is a great machine for that, okay? What it's not really well suited for is the people, like I said, who are just really hardcore enthusiasts and want to blast around as fast as you can, you know, and it's not really well suited for that. You're going to be disappointed if you buy it for that reason. But if you're just wanting something to go out and trail ride and be able to take your kids with you, this is great. You know, I really do like the way that it's a little shorter than the other competitors' machines, and I can, you know, kind of get it around in the woods where I want to go. And, you know, so it's been awesome. There was a time this past summer where my son's ATV broke down, so he just jumped in the back and rode with us the rest of the day. You know, that's another possibility when you've got something like this. You know, so again, I think the Kawasaki Teryx, even though it's getting some age on it, I think it has its place in the market, and that's why Kawasaki still sells this thing. Now, if you want something that's sportier and faster and more powerful, Kawasaki does have a relatively new machine on the market for that. It's called the KRX 1000. I'm sure you've probably seen them. They're quite a bit bigger, quite a bit more powerful, a lot faster, lots more suspension. They are a full-blown play machine. So Kawasaki has finally addressed that concern, and they have something to compete in that part of the segment now. So just FYI on that. But this still kind of hits the sweet spot for families who want to go out and have a good time. And another great thing about this is it's not super expensive. I mean, I bought this thing brand new for about $12,000. I got it at the end of the year when the sales were going on because the new model year was coming in, even though there were no changes, and I was able to get a great deal on it. So, you know, that's something else too. If you don't want to spend $20,000 or $25,000 on a off-road toy, this is another great option because of that as well. You can often find these things brand new in that $12,000 to $15,000 range, which is a lot more affordable. So this machine, it's old, it has some drawbacks, but it still has a lot going for it as well. I thoroughly enjoy it because it kind of suits me and the type of riding that I do, and I can get work done around here. I can pull a utility trailer or whatever, haul a few tools back here if I need to go fix a fence or something, you know. So it really suits me for the kind of things that I do and the way that I ride, and I can take the family with me. And that's why a year later, I think I'm going to keep it. You know, I like to try new things all the time, but I think I'm going to keep this machine, ride it for another year or two, see how it goes, because it really is nice. Kawasaki's got something great going on here. But I guess that's all I've got for now. If you have any questions about the Teryx 4 and you're kind of shopping these things and you just want to know something that you haven't been able to find in the literature or whatever, drop a comment below. I'll try to answer it for you and help you out. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks, and we'll talk to you later.